What's up, y'all? It's Saturday. NHRA has made it from Seattle to Sonoma, and it has been wild also. It was wild in Seattle, and they kept that train rolling over here, and we're going to go over it today. But today in Pro Stock Motorcycle, they have their call-out race, which is from the previous season. Last year, they accumulate points for qualifying, which they do that anyway, but they set these call-out points aside, and then this year, each category has a call-out race, and it's their turn. So, and it's for extra cash. Pro Stock Motorcycle, Gage Herrera gets first call. He calls out Chad Bostic. Now, we saw what happened to Chad last week. He is back out there, so he called out Bostic. Matt Smith called out Chase Van Sant. Richard Gadsden called out Gianna Evaristo, and that leaves Angie Smith versus John Hall. And per usual, they have the Mission Food Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. That's where the previous races, semis, race each other during qualifying for extra bonus points and extra cash. So we'll go over that, then we'll go over the ladders, and I'll show you a few highlights along the way. So we're going to kick it off with the Pro Stock Motorcycle, the first round of the call-out.
The call-out went, as we saw, on when they would race or whom they would race. Of course, run order here, similar to in qualifying. They went to Gage Herrera, who was the number 1 seed, and said, when do you want to run? Then they went to Matt Smith at number 2. Then they went to Richard Gadsden at number 3, and that left Angie and John to fire things up. Denzo, an American Rebelite, the Gittrix Pro Stock Motorcycle All-Star Call-Out is off. And on the starting line, John Hall gains a slight advantage, and at the finish line, John Hall is going to race his way into round number 2. 671.3, 201 miles per hour, and John Hall fires an opening round salvo. Richard Gadsden with a big starting line advantage. And Gianna runs out of room to track him down. 7:20, 6.720 for Richard Gadsden at only 192 miles per hour. Well down on speed. Chase getting some help from the folks at Power Edge this week on that quick move motorcycle. He gains himself a slight advantage on the starting line. As they come past our broadcast location, the Denzo Buell is powering away to a 670, 202 miles per hour. And Matt Smith sets the bar in Pro Stock Motorcycle here in the first round of the Gittrix All-Star Call-Outs. 25th national event in Seattle last week. 672.7, 199 miles per hour, and Gage Herrera will not have his pick of the litter in round number 2 of the Gittrix Pro Stock Motorcycle All-Star Call-Out.
All right, so you see Bostic wasn't in the other lane against Gage. He got a competition bye, but Bostic is there, and he says they're getting his bike back, and hopefully they were going to be back up there for just the regular qualifying. Now, back to the Mission Food Too Fast. For the top fuel is going to be Justin Ashley versus Sean Langdon and Brittany Force versus Doug Coletta.
A coin flip, and Tyler Smoke and Justin Ashley goes 374 and 332 miles per hour. Into the finals of the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Justin Ashley. Doug smokes the tires. What does Brittany have today? Only 324 miles per hour with a 368, as that car was silent a little early. 3.686, 324 miles per hour.
All right, and you didn't think that I was going to mention Brittany Force and not show her run on Friday night. Here we go.
Brittany's past the 8 mile. Brittany Force goes across 343, 343 miles an hour. Holy Christmas! 364.5 at 343.16 miles an hour. Where does it end?
Unbelievable. Sometimes you anticipate, you hope, and you are rewarded. 343.16, the fastest speed in the history of drag racing.
I mean, just wow. That's the only word there is for that, is wow. Funny card. The Too Fast, Too Tasty is Ron Capps versus Spencer Hyde and Matt Hagan versus Alexis DeJoria.
Here we go, semifinals.
Wow, wait.
the drag race again. It's going to go to Ron Capps. 3.908 on a hole shot. Ron Capps off the starting line first by a couple hundredths of a second. This here, give us some hope. You got to have it here. They leave together. Oh, hang on, Alexis. Matt Hagan's going to the final round. That's a 391.3 at 330 miles per hour. Alexis goes 431.211.
And to follow that up, I have Daniel Wilkerson in qualifying on Friday night. And then I have Buddy Hull on Saturday. Here we go.
Look at, oh boy, huge explosion for Wilkerson. A massive backfire just back before the 8th mile. He keeps it mostly off the wall, and you can see Chad Green is rolling slowly. And absolutely, we felt the concussion through the windows atop the timing tower here. Tony, that is as big as it gets, and Wilkerson's out of the car.
The road course. Here we go. The Skag Jackal under power. Bam.
Yeah, and just before it blows up, you could see something. He just brushes the wall. That was the least of the damage. This is the damage here, but take a look. You can see right there, it is actually misfiring multiple cylinders. So more than likely, there was something in the valve train. You know, occasionally you'll see one of these camshafts. They'll actually break. They'll flex and twist in the course of a run. I'm not saying that's what happened, but something in the valve train had to stop. Intake valve, there's so many different moving components. But here's the car accelerating. You can see the header pattern. Looks like it's firing on 8 cylinders. And you'll see on this side, that's where it starts to misfire. And then the explosion. So there was something that failed, that broke in that engine that caused this massive explosion.
Buddy Hull needs to dip into the threes here. Got an outside shot. Oh, wow. Buddy blows it up. 409. He's into the wall, too. Buddy blows it up. He can't see. He smacks the wall. He has no shoots. Watch out. And Buddy is out of the car. It's going to hurt. Everything looks good here. Makes a good run, in fact. 409.6, 317 miles per hour. The best run of the weekend for Buddy Hull. Right there, it starts flashing a little bit, and then kaboom. The body peels back into Buddy's eyes. At this point, in a similar situation to Dan Wilkerson last night, hard to see, gets over and bounces off the wall. Again, in a similar sense to Dan Wilkerson, not a very hard impact with the wall. Just
Sheesh. Thank goodness they both were okay. Okay, so Pro Stock Car, the Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge is going to be nephew and uncle, Cody Coughlin versus Jed Coughlin, and Dallas Glenn versus Greg Stanfield.
The greatest drag racers of all time, and his nephew Cody. Starting line advantage here to Cody by a bunch. Cody Coughlin's going to the finals of the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. 6:51.1, 209 miles per hour. A round win for Greg Stanfield here will probably go a long way towards that. Off the starting line first is Dallas by 200ths. That has been a death sentence most of the year in Pro Stock, and it is here. 6:47. Whoa! Dallas Glenn runs within 0.02 of a second of Greg Anderson's track record. Low of the round at 211 miles per hour.
All right, so we're back around to the Pro Stock Motorcycles call out to the semis. Matt Smith got to make the call out because he was the fastest of the session. He called out his teammate, John Hall, because he said that guarantees them one Denso bike to the finals. So it'll be Matt Smith versus John Hall and Gage Herrera versus Richard Gaston, who will go first because Matt was the quickest. So here we go.
Calls the shots on the world champion. 5 thou better for Gadsden. And at the finish line, he's going to get him. 6:74.9. Richard Gadsden to the finals of the Getrix Pro Stock Motorcycle All-Star Call-Out. Starting line advantage to Matt Smith by 0.07 of a second. John Hall's bike is pushing over and he pulls the clutch in. 6:76.4, 200 miles per hour.
All right, so it'll be Gadsden versus Smith. We'll circle back around to that. Now, Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge Finals is going to be for Top Fuel, Justin Ashley versus Brittany Force. Then we'll go over the ladder.
Number one away. But for Brittany Force, a march towards a Sunday win, start with Saturday momentum. Here we go. Ashley off the line first by 300s, and he smokes the tires. Brittany Force is in the winner's circle in the Mission Foods Challenge. 386.9, 324 miles per hour.
All right, well, congrats to Brittany Force. She got #1 qualifier. She has won the challenge. That's the first one she's won this season, so good for her. Brittany Force against Sean Langdon. My brother Clay Milliken will have Justin Ashley. Antron Brown will have Ida Zetterstrom. Doug Coletta versus Ron August. Tony Stewart versus Josh Hart. All right, funny car. The Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge final is going to be Ron Capps versus Matt Hagan.
That's a good drag race. At the stripe, it goes to Capps, 390 with a 4, 324 miles per hour. And Ron Capps wins his second Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge of the season.
All right, we got the ladder. Matt Hagan got #1. He's going to have Jeff Deal. Daniel Wilkerson's going to have Bob Tasca. Paul Lee versus Dave Richards. Austin Prock versus Cruz Petragon. Spencer Hyde versus Alexis DeJoria. Ron Capps has Chad Green. Beckman has Rupert. And then Hunter Green has J.R. Todd. Pro Stock Car Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge is going to be Dallas Glenn versus Cody Coughlin.
Of the two front runners. Here we go. Starting line advantage, Cody Coughlin by a couple hundredths of a second. Does he have a race car to hang on? No. Dallas Glenn drives around him. 6:47.1. Dallas Glenn resets the track record and steals the #1 qualifier by 1/1000th of a second.
All right, congrats to Dallas Glenn. He got the #1 qualifier also. So Dallas Glenn versus Delco, Jed Coughlin Jr. versus Matt Hartford, Aaron Sandfield versus Corey Reed, Cody Coughlin versus Erica Enders, Greg Anderson versus Chris McGahey, Troy Coughlin Jr. versus Kramer, Greg Stanfield versus Stephen Bell, Matt Latino versus Mason McGahey. All right, and Pro Stock Motorcycle, Matt Smith versus Richard Gadsden.
$25,000 on the line. In Pro Stock Motorcycle, that is a truck ton of cash. Thanks to our friends at Gitrix, the fastest name in credit card processing, who've supported both the Pro Stock and Pro Stock Motorcycle All-Star Callouts for 2 seasons now, and that partnership will continue into the future as Richard Gadsden and Matt Smith are ready to battle it out. Final round. Red light. Richard Gadsden turned it red by 1/1000th of a second. Matt Smith goes back to back, and he goes 6:78.3 in the process.
Whew, Gadsden's going to be kicking himself on that one for a while. He got #1 qualifier, and he'll have Hawks. Andy Smith, he'll have Chase Van Sant. Matt Smith will have Hosky Evaristo, will have Camarina. John Hall will have Chad Bostic. Gage Herrera will have Howie. All right, y'all. Thank you guys for watching, liking, subscribing. Leave me a comment because you know I love them. I'll be back tomorrow evening to do the recap for the race. Come back and check on me. And see you guys then. Bye.